Welcome to Insight Marketing Success, the podcast where marketing knowledge meets real world experience, from vision to execution.
Hi, George. Welcome to IMS, Inside Marketing Success. I had the opportunity to chat with you before, but for our audience, let us know who you are.
Well, thank you, Ricardo. It's a pleasure to be here. So, I like to call myself a recovering PhD. I worked in three different fields of bioscience, and then I was a data scientist for a few years before I realized that my true calling is entrepreneurship. And I went into real estate. I became a real estate syndicator, and now I help people invest with me.
Hmm. So, what's a real estate syndicator? What does that mean?
So rather than me just going out and buying properties of a size that I, with my own cash, can take down, I give people the opportunity to combine forces. So if somebody wants to invest in real estate and not deal with the tenants, termites, and tantrums, they can invest with me. Then I'll handle the property, and they just get the returns as if they were investing in a stock.
Okay, wonderful. And so, it sounds like you have a lot of education. Tell us, what kind of schools do you go to?
Yeah, so I got a PhD in biology. I did a couple of postdocs after that. So working in the laboratory for well over a decade. And after that, I went back to school to get a master's degree in computer science. And the idea was to just simply get out of academia, one way or another.
Okay, amazing. Um, what schools did you attend for your PhD?
So actually, I went to Wayne State University for all of my education. It was close to home, and that suited me fine. I have family, and we all still live in Michigan.
Okay, fantastic. Love Michigan.
Yeah.
All right. What's the biggest marketing accomplishment you have faced and how did you solve it?
Yeah, I would say that my biggest challenge in my field is to build the credibility. So when you're asking for somebody to wire you $50,000 or more, that takes a large degree of credibility. So I really have to be out there all the time. I thought that I would solve my problem by starting a podcast, but that's very hard, as you know. It's
Yes.
a lot of work, it's very expensive. And so then over time, I really worked on becoming an author. I have my first book out and I'm working on my second. And I think this is a much better way for me to go out and reach people. Of course, I still have to be in front of the camera every day.
Yeah. So tell us about your book. What is your book about?
So I call it passionate living through passive investing. And behind me, I have to say, I love the way that you let us put up a motto. That's straight from the book. You can't beat the pack if you run with the pack. And I want to help people get outsized returns. And to do that, you really can't be looking where everyone else is looking. So if you're just looking at stocks and bonds, I mean, you're going to get those sorts of returns. So what I like to do is teach people to look in private markets. You have a whole lot fewer eyes looking out there, and there is the opportunity to make those outsized returns.
Okay. So in the process of doing this brand development and you have been doing other stuff, um, what kind of mistakes have you made and what did you learn from them?
Well, the first was in not realizing how you have to stand out. Now, Michael Michalowicz has a great book about this. He calls it something like the pumpkin plan, right? Everybody, when they go out in, around Halloween time, take your kids out there and they don't notice all of the boring pumpkins. No, they want the one that's 400 pounds, right? The one that doesn't even fit in your pickup truck. So that's what you really have to do if you want to survive. There are so many also rans in any business, and you have to figure out how to build your brand. What is special about you? So for me, it was being a scientist and then data scientist. A lot of data analytics in my background. So I rebranded myself as the data scientist of real estate. And I got somebody to make this cartoon of me flying around, and I've got all these sorts of antics. And I just want to make it fun. So you have to look at your background, whatever you're doing. In real estate, there's a lot of people who are on their second or third career. And the reason for that is that we have such a housing crisis. So a lot of us, we may be middle aged, we have a lot of job experience. If you look at that experience, you can find something in there that's highly relevant. A lot of people feel like they're starting over, but you really aren't if you take a careful look. So me loving to talk about data and loving to be a data storyteller, I figured, well, what better way to rebrand my PhD?
Awesome. How do you approach storytelling in the process of doing your marketing? Sounds like you had some really nice assets of cartoons and so forth. How do you embed in it storytelling?
Right, well, a few things. You have to get across the story of your property. Now, again, I'm expecting large checks here, and so this takes a large degree of trust. And what we really need to do is tell the story behind the numbers. A lot of people will show a lot of numbers on the screen, for example, and they'll try to convince you, like it's some rocket science, why this deal is worth investing in. But that's not really what gets the people. You have to be very clear on why a property works. Like, for example, everybody will sell the property by saying that they've got below market rents. But describe it. Why should I believe we have below market rents? How much is our margin of safety? What sort of things can go wrong? And when you go at it from that standpoint of telling really the why behind the numbers, don't worry about the numbers yet. Get the qualitative story about first. And once you get that out, people will be very receptive to the numbers. So for me, it's starting with telling the story behind the numbers when I present the deal. And when I present myself, you have to present yourself in a way that makes sense to people. I talk to so many people that have read dozens and dozens of books about investing, but they don't necessarily handle their investing themselves because they've got great jobs and they're good at what they do. And so it really doesn't make sense for them to pick up a second career in investing. And so that's how I tell the story myself. I'm someone who was like you. I had a very challenging career. I had no time for anything, including myself. And now I focus only on investing. You can stay in your lane, do what you do, keep making your six figures plus, and then invest with someone else. And you don't have to lose your focus.
Wonderful. So tell us who would be the best person who could benefit from Robert's capital investment. So somebody who has a job, who is in what age, and how much discretionary income, or what are the different features of this market, the people that you seek?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, these are people who are accredited investors. They would have a net worth maybe $1 million or more, probably in the middle of their careers. And again, just like me, somebody working a very challenging job, they may be in tech, they could be a business leader, could be an entrepreneur that just wants to focus on their product.
Okay. And are your properties based out in Michigan, all of them in Michigan, or are they nationwide?
Well, yeah, they're nationwide. And the nice thing about working with apartments, which is my asset class, is that it's large enough that it justifies buying outside of your state. And so we can always go out and look for the very best markets. So we started out in the Southeast. That's where things were growing. Of course, Florida, where we started out, is still growing, but it's also got a lot of building. And so then we moved a good bit north, and now we're sort of in the middle latitudes. But again, you don't have to worry about that. We can go out and find the best markets, the best deals, and help people get diversified. Maybe another thing that I would say is people who are saying that they're sick and tired of the stock market roller coaster. I mean, my goodness, we had just about the longest bull market in history. And if you forget about that short period in 2020 when things went down, I mean, we know we're overdue. I can't tell you when it's going to happen. I just know we're one day closer to it today than we were yesterday. So, those are the sorts of people that I think I can help.
Okay. So um, let's imagine that you go to a restaurant and you're in those booths of the restaurant and you hear familiar voices of three friends talking about you, but they don't know that you are there. And you hear your name and you realize they are going to start talking about you. What would you want to hear from them?
Well, I'd like to hear about how I take care of clients because I don't have $1 billion of assets under management. I'm somebody who, if you call me, you call Roberts Capital Enterprises, you talk to me, I'll figure out what your interests are, what your goals are, and how you're trying to reach them. And that's something that larger firms can't offer. So I really focus on giving everybody white glove treatment.
Okay. But how about as a friend?
Oh, as a friend, I'm sorry, I thought this was all about business. So,
No, no,
yeah,
different.
sure. I would say loyalty. I mean, when it comes to friendship, what's more important than that?
Very good. Well, all right. Well, you know that life is not all the time rainbows and unicorns, and at times you can have a dark cloud. So how do you stay grounded, whether it's on personal issues or business issues? What keeps you grounded?
So I'm an action taker, Ricardo, and for me that helps. There's no therapy in the world like taking action. Of course, it's all about planning and taking the proper action, but even that is an action. When things are difficult, immediately I want to get down to business. There's no point in fretting, no point in worrying. It doesn't change a darn thing in the outcome.
Okay, nice. All right, let's imagine that um, you're able to go back into your ear when you first graduated from the first degree that you got, and you're able to whisper to yourself a piece of advice. What would you say yourself?
Well, I would say don't worry, things are going to be all right. And when I was in school, I treated every test as if it determined my future. And I had a great colleague who reminded me that that's not how it works. So I think a lot of people who are very ambitious are like that. Now, I don't regret any of the long hours I put in, but if I just realized that with integrity and hard work, that you can figure out anything, that I would have worried a lot less.
Awesome. George, thank you very much for being with IMS today. I look forward to getting to know you better and look forward to perhaps doing business with you.
Absolutely, Ricardo. Thank you. It has been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Insight Marketing Success, where marketing knowledge meets real world experience from vision to execution.